Good morning. Happy Wednesday. Welcome back to class. I'm having a pajama morning with Moosey. Hope you're all having a good day. Yesterday the weather was wonderful. I hope you all got outside to play. But we are back to our book today. And last time we read, we met a new character. So I'm hoping you can remember the character. I'll pause and let you think about it. If you were thinking about these hawks, you were correct. So Frightful came into the story. Sam Gribbly climbed up a cliff to get Frightful. And if you remember, the mother wasn't quite happy about that. She attacked him on the way back down, but he got Frightful away. And that is where we left off on our story. So the last paragraph from on Monday says, I washed my bleeding shoulder in the creek, tucked the torn threads of my sweater back into the hole they had come out of, and set out for my tree. So we start today with the chapter called A Brief Account of What I Did About the First Man Who Was After Me. All right. At the edge of the meadow, I sensed all was not well at camp. How I knew there was a human being there was not clear to me then. I can only say that after living so long with the birds and animals, the movements of a human is like the difference between the explosion of a cap pistol and a cannon. I wormed toward the camp. When I could see the man I felt to be there, I stopped and looked. He was wearing a forester's uniform. Immediately, I thought they had sent someone out to bring me in, and I began to shake. Then I realized that I didn't have to go back to meet the man at all. I was perfectly free and capable of settling down anywhere. My tree was just a pleasant habit. I circled the meadow and went over to the gorge. On the way, I checked a trap. It was a deadfall. A figure 4 under a big rock. The rock was down. The food was rabbit. So he's made these traps to catch animals to eat, so he just caught his first rabbit. I picked a comfortable place just below the rim of the gorge where I could pop up every now and then and watch my tree. Here I dressed down the rabbit and fed Frightful some of the more savory bites from a young falcon's point of view. The liver, the heart, and the brain. She ate in gulps. As I watched her swallow, I sensed a great pleasure. It is hard to explain my feelings at that moment. It seemed marvelous to see life pump through that strange little body of feathers, wordless noises, milk eyes, much as life pumped through me. The food put the bird to sleep. I watched her eyelids close from the bottom up and her head quiver. The fuzzy body rocked, its tail spread to steady it, and the little duck hawk almost sighed as she sank into the leaves sleeping. I had lots of time. I was going to wait for the man to leave. So I stared at my bird, the beautiful details of the new feathers, the fern-like lashes along the lids, the saucy bristles at the base of the beak. Pleasant hours passed. Frightful would awaken, I would feed her, she would fall back to sleep, and I would watch the breath rock her body ever so slightly. I was breathing the same way, only not as fast. Her heart beat much faster than mine. She was designed to her bones for a swifter life. So, if you didn't understand this, birds have hollow bones, and I want you to think about why. Just think for a minute, why? If we were in class, I'd be calling on you right now, but I can't. So hopefully you're thinking that birds have to have hollow, lightweight bones so that they can fly. So most of our bones are really dense and they're full of solid material. So bird bones are a lot different. It finally occurred to me that I was very hungry. I stood up to see if the man was gone. He was yawning and pacing. The sun was slanting on him now, and I could see him quite well. He was a fire warden. Of course, it has not rained, I told myself, for almost 3 weeks, and the fire planes have been circling the mountains and valleys, patrolling the mountains. Apparently, the smoke from my fire was spotted, and a man was sent to check it. I recalled the bare trampled ground around the tree, the fireplace of rocks filled with ashes, the wood chips from the making of my bed, and resolved hereafter to keep my yard clean. So I made rabbit soup in a tin can I found at the bottom of the gorge. I seasoned it with wild garlic and jack-in-the-pulpit roots. Those are both different plants. Jack-in-the-pulpits have 3 big leaves on a stalk and are easily recognized by the curly striped awning above a stiff, serious preacher named Jack. The jack-in-the-pulpit root, or corum, tastes and looks like potato. It should never be eaten raw. So if you want to know what that looks like, you can search up jack-in-the-pulpit, and it is a type of plant you'll find. The fire I made was only of the driest wood, and I made it right at the water's edge. I didn't want a smoky fire on this particular evening. So if you have wet wood or wood that's got sap still in it, it will make a smokier fire. After supper, I made a bough bed and stretched out with Frightful beside me. Apparently, the more you stroke and handle a falcon, the easier they are to train. I had all sorts of plans for hoods and jesses, as the straps on a falcon are called, and I soon forgot about the man. All right, now here's our next picture. It is Sam and Frightful underneath their little shelter. Stretched on the boughs, I listened to the wood pewees calling their haunting good nights until I fell sound asleep. All right, our next chapter is called I Learned to Season My Food. And I'm going to have a drink of coffee first. And here we go. The fire warden made a fire sometime in the colder hours of the night. At dawn, he was asleep beside white, smoldering ashes. I crawled back to the gorge, fed Frightful rabbit bites, and slipped back to the edge of the meadow to check the box trap I had set the day before. I made it by tying small sticks together like a log cabin. This trap was better than the snares or deadfalls. It had caught numerous rabbits, several squirrels, and a groundhog. I saw as I inched toward it that it was closed. The sight of a closed trap excites me to this day. I still can't believe that animals don't understand why delicious food is such... I still can't believe that animals don't understand why delicious food is in such a ridiculous spot. Well, this morning I pulled the trap deep into the woods to open it. The trapped animal was light. I couldn't guess what it was. It was also active, flipping and darting from one corner to the next. I peeked in to locate it so that I could grab it quickly behind the head without getting bitten. I was not always successful at this and had scars to prove it. I put my eye to the crack. A rumpus arose in the darkness. Two bright eyes shone, and out through that hole, that was no wider than a string bean, came a weasel. He flew right out at me, landed on my shoulder, gave me a lecture that I shall never forget, and vanished under the scant cover of trillium and bloodroot leaves. He popped up about 5 feet away and stood on his hind feet to lecture me again. I said, "Scat!" So he darted right to my knee, put his broad furry paws on my pants, and looked me in the face. I shall never forget the fear and wonder that I felt at the bravery of that weasel. He stood his ground and berated me. I could see by the flashing of his eyes and the curl of his lip that he was furious at me for trapping him. He couldn't talk, but I knew what he meant. Wonder filled me as I realized he was absolutely unafraid. No other animal, and I knew quite a few by now, had been so brave in my presence. Screaming, he jumped on me. This surprised and scared me. He leaped from my lap to my head, took a mouthful of hair and wrestled it. My goosebumps rose. I was too frightened to move. A good thing, too, because I guess he figured I was not going to fight back, and his scream of anger changed to a purr of peace. Still, I couldn't move. Presently, down he climbed, as stately as royalty, and off he marched, never looking back. He sank beneath the leaves like a fish beneath the water. Not a stem rippled to mark his way. And so the Baron and I met for the first time, and it was the beginning of a harassing but wonderful friendship. So that was Baron Weasel. Frightful had been watching all this. She was tense with fright. Although young and inexperienced, she knew an enemy when she saw one. I picked her up and whispered into her birdy-smelling neck feathers. "You wild ones know." Since I couldn't go home, I decided to spend the day in the marsh down the west side of the mountain. There were a lot of cattails and frogs there. Frightful balanced on my wrist as we walked. She had learned that in the short span of one afternoon and a night, she could balance on my fist. She was a very bright bird. On our way, we scared up a deer. It was a doe. A doe is a female deer. I watched her dart gracefully away and said to Frightful, "That's what I want. I need a door for my house, tethers for you, and a blanket for me. How am I going to get a deer?" This was not the first time I had said this. The forest was full of deer, and I already had drawn plans on a piece of birch bark for deadfalls, pit traps, and snares. None seemed workable. The day passed. In the early evening, we stole home, tree by tree, to find that the warden was gone. I cleaned up my front yard, scattered needles over the bare spots, and started a small fire with very dry wood that would not smoke much. No more wardens for me. I liked my tree, and although I could live somewhere else, I certainly did not want to. Once home, I immediately started to work again. I had a device I wanted to try, and put some hickory sticks in a tin can and set it to boiling while I fixed dinner. Before going to bed, I noted this on a piece of birch bark. This night, I am making salt. I know that people in the early days got along without it, but I think some of these foods would taste better with some flavoring. I understand that hickory sticks, boiled dry, leave a salty residue. I am trying it. In the morning, I added, "It is quite true. The can is dry and thick with a black substance. It is very salty, and I tried it on frog's legs for breakfast. It was just what I had needed." And so I went into salt production for several days, and chipped out a niche inside the tree in which to store it. A niche is a little storage hole, so you chip a spot in the wall where you've got a little hole inside the wood, and you can put stuff in. All right, and this is June 19th. He wrote in his journal. Sorry, I'm starting to get my allergies. I finished my bed today. The ash slats work very well and are quite springy and comfortable. The bed the bed just fits in the right-hand side of the tree. I have hemlock boughs on it now, but hope to have deer hide soon. I am making a figure 4 trap as tall as me with a log on it that I could barely lift. It doesn't look workable. I wish there was another way of getting a deer. June 20th. I decided today to dig a pit to trap a deer, so I am whittling a shovel out of a board I found in the stream this morning. That stream is very useful. It has given me tin cans for pots, and now an oaken board for a shovel. Frightful will hop from the stump to my fist. She still can't fly. Her wing feathers are only about an inch long. I think she likes me. All right, let's see how long this next chapter is. All right, we will have to wait there for next time. Thanks for reading with me today. And the next chapter I will tell you is called How a Door Came to Me. So we will see how Sam does get a door. And I thought I would show you this for fun today. This has been my bookmark. So I will let you try to guess who these people are. I am in the purple. I was probably about 6 years old in this picture. And then my mom's in the middle, and my little brother John is in the yellow. So just thought that'd be kind of fun today. So, yep, I hope you're all doing well. I miss you all like crazy. Let me know if you have any questions, if you just want to chat. But have a great Wednesday, and I will see you all again on Friday. Have a great day.